The 49ers did not make another trade before yesterday's deadline, and a lot of 49er fans are very upset about that. But I don't think you should be. I understand you look at the record, you see the 6 wins, you see the 3-0 in the NFC West, and you think that everything is on the table for the 49ers. There's no dominant teams in the NFC, and all of that is true. But circumstances have to dictate action. And I think the current circumstances the 49ers are in dictated their action or lack thereof at the trade deadline. The Niners have been telling us for months, since before the season even began, in words and in deeds, that this year was going to be a transition year. This year was going to be the move from the old guard of the Shanahan 49ers of the past into the new guard, the Brock Purdy, the Ricky Pearsall, those 49ers. This was going to be the year where that sort of transition was made, and the chips would fall where they may when it came to wins and losses this season. Now, I do agree that I think this team kind of surprised a little bit, right? They came out of the gate and they started winning all those games. And I think they were like, damn, maybe this isn't as much of a transition year as we thought. Maybe these young guys can really come along a lot faster than we thought, and we might be able to do something. And had the 49ers had either Nick Bosa or Fred Warner, just one of them, still healthy and active on the team, I think they would have made moves at the deadline. I think Trey Hendrickson would probably be a 49er if Fred Warner's ankle was not pointed in the wrong direction a couple weeks ago. I really do believe that. But once that happened, I think the 49ers saw a ceiling on this season. And I think they said, look, we have two choices. We can either pay crazy prices to bring in mediocre talent at the deadline with major injury concerns, right? Bradley Chubb has 2 torn ACLs in his career, and Jermaine Johnson has an Achilles that he tore. So they have major injury questions there. Did they want to pay high prices for those guys to maybe have a shot this year? Or did they say, we've found ways to win games. Maybe we can keep doing it. We'll keep all of our draft picks and put ourselves in the best position to win more next year when we really thought all along that we'd be able to go for it. I know what you're saying. There's no guarantee they're going to be healthier next year, right? And you're right about that. Clearly, this team has shown they are banged up every single year, but they're also going to get an influx of new young players, right? Look at the draft capital the 49ers have for 2026. That's a lot of picks. And most of those are pretty early, right? We're not talking a lot of 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks. We're talking day 1 picks, day 2 picks, day 3 picks. The Niners can restock the cupboard next year. And I don't think you wanted to sacrifice that ability for a Bradley Chubb, for some of these guys that were out there, Jermaine Johnson, those type of people. I don't think you wanted to do that. The only way you get young, cheap players is through the draft. And I think the 49ers recognize that. And I don't think that this means that they're giving up or anything like that. I think they're being realistic. And I think that you have to, as I said before, let circumstances dictate action.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code GSPE. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
The circumstances this year, Fred Warner is gone. Nick Bosa is gone. Mykel Williams is gone. We don't know if Brandon Ayuk's coming back. We don't know if Brock Purdy is coming back. We don't know if Ricky Pearsall is coming back. That's the situation the 49ers are now in. Now, I think it's up to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan to use this situation to their advantage to the best way they can. And you say, well, how can they do that? This year's house money. You have to treat this season like you're playing with house money. You have an opportunity this year to see what a lot of young guys can do. Alfred Collins, Upton Stout, Matt Hennessy, Ben Barch, Jordan Watkins, hopefully, if he ever gets a chance to, consistently contribute, D Winners, all those guys and more. They're going to get experience. They're going to get exposure. You're going to get to see what you have. For example, look at linebacker, right? Fred Warner goes down. Terrible. Yes. Tatum Bethune actually gets a chance to play, who would never have seen the field otherwise. And he looks like, you know what? You might have something here. So now when you go into 2026, you're like, hey, we've got D Winners, we've got Fred Warner, we've got Tatum Bethune. All of a sudden, your linebacking core, maybe you thought it might have been a weakness. Guess what? It's not a weakness now. It's a strength. And it's a strength because Tatum Bethune got in there and got experience and got the ability to go out onto the field and perform. Same thing with corner, right? You go into next year with Lenore, Renardo Green, and Upton Stout with a whole year of seasoning, and you're like, damn, okay, for the first time in years, our secondary, at least at the corner position, is looking pretty solid. We don't have to freak out about that. We don't have to sign, random nickel corner who's on the free agent market. We're done with that. We don't have to do that. Now we can use those resources elsewhere, right? We can use those resources to stock the offensive line, which I know so many of you want them to do, right? That's the other part of this. Again, I throw the picks back up on the screen. They have some picks, but you can't, on the one hand, say they needed to trade them this year to go all in. And on the other hand, say, well, they also have to restock the offensive line, right? You can only do one of those things. And it's not like there were a ton of offensive linemen on the market this year anyway that they could have traded for. So if you want them to fix the offensive line, they've just put themselves in a position to do that. And I know a lot of you have been begging for them to do that, pleading, right? Well, that's what they've aligned themselves to do. Maybe that's the decision that they made. You know what? We can't. We're right. You're right. We've heard all your complaints. We can't just let another year go by with the offensive line. We do need help. Now they can do it. Will they? I don't know. I have no idea. Neither do you. But I know if they trade those picks away, they definitely can't do it. Right. And so I think that is part of the calculus that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan had to undergo when deciding what to do at this deadline. So I get that you feel like they're giving up this year. And to some extent, I kind of agree with you. It's an acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement that they know, hey, this team has been surprising and plucky and gritty and all that stuff, but we probably don't think there's, a Super Bowl in the cards. And there probably isn't. But like I said, treat this year as house money. This is a year when you lose quarterback one, and wide receiver one, and wide receiver two, and wide receiver three, and tight end one, and edge one, and linebacker one. When you lose all those guys, that's not a year you have a chance to go to the playoffs. That's a 6-11 year, like last year was. That's the kind of season you have when all those things happen to you. And the fact that the 49ers already have 6 wins is incredible. And I really do think they can get back to the playoffs this year. Maybe they win a playoff game. Maybe they win 2 playoff games. Who the hell knows? But the point is, this transition year has become potentially more than that because of their record. And now you can get the benefit of both. You get the fun of getting to see your team play in the playoffs, which, yes, is always good. And it's certainly better than a 6-win season like we saw last year. And you also get the development from all of those players. You get the experience from all those players. So now when you go into 2026, you've got experienced players that are ready to not just contribute, not just fill needs, but really become strong, good players that contribute to deep playoff runs. So I get that we're all mad. I get that we're frustrated. We always want to see more trades and more action and have more hope, right? I understand all of that. But ultimately, I think this was the smartest move that John Lynch could have made. I think it will ultimately put the 49ers in a better position going forward. And I think that a year from now, you're going to feel a lot better about this decision than you would if he had traded a bunch of those picks for a bunch of mid-round guys.